Alright. Hi and welcome to the Sugarbombed podcast. Today we have myself, Boomer, hosting. We have Dingo.
Woof.
Monty.
What's up, everybody?
And we have Ahab.
Hello, world.
He's actually our first four-room guest, so congrats.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Wait, where's he from?
I'm from the Boston area.
Oh, wait, I thought you said foreign.
I thought he did too. Oh, forum.
Yeah.
Forum,
yeah.
oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That Australian
Forum.
accent got me again.
I don't-
Gets me
I was gonna say,
confused, too.
I don't speak fucking Australian. Jesus.
Bahaba.
Oh,
Isn't that what it sounds like up in Boston too?
Actually, that's exactly what it sounds like up here.
speaking
And in real life,
of-
it's called Bahaba.
fucking typical. Anyway,
Well, now I'm making fun of everyone.
yep.
Well, we're not discriminating.
Yeah, equal opportunity.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
Anyway, that kind of bridges into our topic. When do we think Far Harbor will be released? I said it normally then. Far Harbor. Nothing wrong with it then.
Bahaba?
Fahaba.
Anyway.
This needs to be a meme on the site.
Yeah, well, it
So,
seems to be a
yeah, we
pattern
know-
of releasing the... Yeah. They're releasing the DLCs like in the third week, usually of the month, I think.
That's kind of how
I'll
I
have to
was
check.
thinking it as well, and I was figuring that we were looking at probably like a 17th type of release. But on the other hand, if this is a big release, they might push it off till the 24th.
Are you guys ready for Dingo's unpopular opinion?
Oh, I guess we
Sure, why
I guess
not?
we must be.
All of your opinions are unpopular.
I know, that's the point. I'm calling that it's actually going to be a June release. I'm calling it now.
No, they can't
yes.
push it back.
This is Bethesda, dude. This would not be the first time they've pushed DLC
Oh.
back. Here's the thing. I want them to push it back. After Wasteland Workshop and the CK, my faith in Bethesda is incredibly shaky, and Far Harbor needs to deliver. It absolutely needs to deliver. And if pushing it back, a week or two into June means that we're going to have a better quality, more polished product, then that's what needs to happen. But I think just the fact that they kind of silently released the CK, I think they did that as a way to kind of tide us over a little longer. But yeah, that's my unpopular opinion. Far Harbor, June.
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
Well,
and considering
Hopefully we
How
at least get
buggy,
a trailer.
Well, I just noticed that the 31st of May is a Tuesday.
Oh, there you go.
So we could end up with it technically being in May.
Yeah.
Okay, and I could see that. I could see that happening.
But pushing it all the way to the edge.
Yeah,
Well-
that's not a bad guess.
considering how buggy Fallout 4 was in release, it was actually the first Bethesda game where I've actually experienced bugs, like actual bugs.
See, and
Previously,
sorry, go ahead.
previously I've never experienced bugs in a Bethesda game until Fallout 4. So if they push it back till December or January, which is not the most popular release time, it would have been a better quality game.
You're probably right. And they probably would have included shit like survival mode instead of just waiting.
Yeah, but I think we can always say that, right? Anytime they push the game, we're going to get a better product or more product. But how often do we let them push it before we say just give us the product?
Well, Duke Nukem, they got to push it for 10 years, so...
That's an entirely different beast.
Yeah, I know. There's a whole story behind that, but no, you actually have a good point. And I think I've spoken about that before on the podcast, is that we as consumers are so egocentric. Like, we have to have it now, we have to have it immediately, and we're not willing to give companies some breathing room to develop a better game. And that's, I mean, it's partially the company's fault, because they're like, oh yeah, well, let's just not push it back. Let's release this shitty half-finished product and be done with it. But then we as the consumers are like, yeah, give it to us. We don't fucking care. We'll mod it. We'll fix it. And it's become laziness on both parts.
Well, I mean, the most popular mod available right now on Bethesda.net is the unofficial patch. So
yeah. Which, I mean, surprise, surprise, look at Skyrim. The unofficial patches for that were
massive.
I mean, they're still the most popular. And that's I'm actually working on an article right now about my disillusionment with Bethesda, and part of it goes back to their what is becoming a reliance on modders, or as Pete likes to call us now, hackers. But and this is becoming a bad habit with Bethesda. They're not even like bug fixing anymore. They're just saying, "Oh, the mods will fix it. Let's keep doing what we were going to do."
Now, to anyone who doesn't get a reference to what Dingo just said, Pete Hines said, "If you don't use our creation kit, you're a hacker. If you make mods."
Well,
So,
which he took back and said was a bad choice of words, to be fair.
And he did, but here's the thing. And again, this is coming up in my article too, but here's the thing. You're the vice president of public relations. You should know better than to make a comment like that. I'm sorry, that it's unprofessional. It's not okay. And he can apologize all he wants. I'm still insulted by it.
Well, everyone, Brim is a hacker.
Ditto.
Yep, I've got my command prompt open. I'm editing text files. I'm a badass hacker.
are we doing it plugged into a phone
dare
booth down in the city so that they can't track us?
Yep, and if we hack, and I actually sit right next to Boomer, and we both type on the same keyboard so we can hack faster.
The funny thing about his comment is, for quite a few games, they don't have any tools. I've made mods for other games, just basic mods, like if anyone knows Hearts of Irons, I've added new generals and stuff to that game. He would consider that hacking since I'm editing the text files of the game. So yeah, that's and because there's no official modding tools for the game.
Yep, and I've done the same thing with both Terraria and Minecraft. So, I'm a hacker.
Yeah, we're all hackers.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Pete's what he says doesn't really represent the whole Bethesda Game Studios view of modders. I mean, because they support modders a lot. They putting them on console. Most developers don't even want you to mod their games. They don't give you the tools. They punish people that mod their games. So, I mean, you can't blame the whole thing for what Pete said.
And of course Bethesda fucking loves modders. We fix their game for them. I was just saying they fucking rely on us, so of course they love us. But my issue is just that, like I said...
Well, your issue's with Pete, pretty much, from what I've heard.
Well, except no, I'm still upset with Bethesda because Pete is, regardless of whether or not it was his personal opinion or not, he is still a representative of that organization. It'd be like if I went onto the chat and started ripping into users, how long before you fired me, Monty? I mean, I wouldn't get away with shit like that. Like,
no, I don't think you'd let me fire you.
Well,
you usurp my power.
Monty makes a really good point, though, in that it really was just what Pete was saying. We've gotten a lot of feedback from developers at Bethesda, people that really do seem to appreciate what the modders are doing. And Dingo, you are also right that they abuse the modders sometimes. But, there is a certain balance in there.
And maybe that's it. Maybe I'm still waiting for Bethesda to find or re-find that balance. Like, it used to exist. It used to be there. But what I have seen more is not a respect for mods, but a reliance on them instead. For modders, I'm sorry, not mods.
Wait, so when did that balance exist exactly? Because I don't think it existed in Skyrim. Or Fallout 3, honestly.
I would say, Morrowind was, I think, a definitely good one. Like, Morrowind included the, what was it called? And it wasn't the creation kit, but it was the construction kit.
Construction. Yep.
Yeah. And that was my first foray into modding at that point. And given it wasn't any more...
That was so long ago, Dingo.
I know.
It was a completely different system.
You old geezer.
That's the thing. I don't think it is that different. Like, I hop into that CK, or into the CK now, and it still reminds me, like, that sure, they've tidied up the UI a bit, but it's still almost the exact same creation or construction kit, just they've played around with some buttons and shit. It's still as stupidly user unfriendly as it possibly could be, but...
And its memory allocation is so shitty. I mean, it can use 8 gigabytes of RAM to save a file.
Oh, and it crashes regularly.
It crashes
Don't we have a whole
much.
section on the creation kit coming up shortly?
Yeah, sorry, we're getting
yeah.
off.
Well, like I was saying, it makes sense to have an archaic creation kit for an archaic engine.
Well, there is
Just
that.
saying.
And you know what? That's probably the first legitimate defense of the creation kit I've heard. That's the first one I will allow.
Yep.
But yeah, it's crashing. It's getting on my nerves. It's a massive pain in the ass at the moment. Like, sometimes I actually have to restart my PC to get it working again.
Oh, yeah. So maybe we can just let's hit the creation kit now, and then we can talk about the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're already halfway through this, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I guess I'll vent first, so then you guys can rebuild what little credibility I'm going to tear away here. So my issue with the creation kit is I had an idea for a quest mod, and I'd shared it in the staff chat, and everybody seemed to really like it. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this. And it needed a couple minor retextures, and I figure, okay, that'll be the easiest thing. There have been retexture mods on Fallout since the game came out. It can't be that hard to do. But I wanted to go about it the creation kit way, so that it was all official, and I could eventually share this stuff through Bethesda Net for console gamers too. Like, I didn't want to create a mod that only the PC guys could play. I wanted something that down the line everyone could play. So I'm going about it, and I got my texture done, and I got it NIF scoped and everything, and this is where the frustration started. I cannot for the life of me, sorry, I don't know what's going on here. I cannot for the life of me get it to display in game, or in the kit, and there is no... I have watched probably 24 different tutorials, given they're all for Skyrim, but I've watched about 24 different tutorials on how to get a texture into the engine, and there's... Here's my issue. Here's where my biggest issue comes down to this. If you go to the Fallout 4 CK wiki page, Boomer knows where I'm going with this, and you go to the portal that shows all of the articles they have listed, it shows a giant list of empty. There are no tutorials for it, and it's actually just different enough from the Skyrim engine that you can't reliably use the Skyrim walkthroughs, the Skyrim tutorials to build these mods. Like, the textures don't work the way they did in Skyrim. It's this is what I was getting at before when I was saying where I feel like Bethesda is just trying to give it to the modders anymore, because you've got Pete Hines' attitude about us, and now you've got, a creation kit that is supposed to make it easier to make mods, and it's actually more difficult than what it is without the creation kit, and that's not right. That's not okay. And all I'm trying to do is a simple texture. I mean, this isn't rocket science.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say something. What was I going to say?
Sorry, I ranted
Hang
for
on.
a while.
No. Give me a second. I have it in the back of my head.
Rocket science.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere in there. Shit.
I can understand.
I had something good to say.
The thing that gets to you about the creation kit is it really is essentially the same thing we got out of Skyrim. And all they did was supposedly update it for Fallout, which they didn't even make any major changes to the creation engine. They didn't make changes to the creation kit.
They just moved where the buttons are, so you can't find anything anymore.
Yes, which is actually pretty typical for that type of thing. So,
I mean, they delayed it from November to fucking April.
That's what bugs me the most.
Yeah, and I think that's where my frustration comes from, because it's been 6 months. Like, we should have a high functioning creation kit by this point. If they had delayed it and it worked, I think I'd be okay with it. But the fact of the matter is that I have to fucking struggle and spend 3 hours for what is going to amount to a simple retexture of a goddamn hat in game. That's not okay. I hate things that waste my time.
Yeah, I mean, they might have just been spreading themselves too thin with all the shit they're doing, like the updates and the DLC and the console mods, which they never done before, and getting the creation kit out on Bethesda Net. I mean, because I don't think the Montreal studio is really helping with any of that. They're supposedly just doing mobile games, so this is a lot for a 100-man team.
Speaking of which, actually, oh shit, what was I going to say? Fuck.
Dude, you gotta go back to sleep. Starlight.
That's it. With previous iterations of Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, they've released tutorials upon release. If you remember Fallout 3, they actually released 4 videos, or possibly more, doing video tutorials on how to nav mesh, how to all this other shit. But they haven't done that with this, nor have they made any articles. The Oblivion construction kit had quite a few good articles. They were fucking great. And as you said before, there are 0 articles on the creation kit page. It's been up since the 26th of April, and there have been 0 changes since the 26th of April and the current date, which is the 2nd of May. 0 changes.
And from what I have seen from that, from what I've heard, now this is murmurings. This is not necessarily fact or fiction, but what I have heard is that once again, it's going to fall on the users. My understanding is that Bethesda's going to let the users write the articles, and until then, we're not going to have any sort of tutorials.
And you can kind of see how it's going right now, since it's been...
yeah, well, because no one can fucking figure it out.
Yeah. And they're really pushing for Bethesda Net. You have to download Bethesda Net to download the creation kit.
Yep.
Now...
I can... Sorry, go ahead.
With Skyrim, it was actually integrated into Steam, so you download it via Steam. So, why wouldn't they do that again?
I'm okay with...
They're pushing...
I'm okay with not using Steam.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Yeah. That's fine. But what I mean is, they're definitely pushing for Bethesda Net and pushing it for further use, and possibly in the future, by future I mean the next 3-4 years, paid mods as a platform.
I was gonna say, you're reading my mind, and that's something I was going to talk about. Is first off, I made this prediction a while ago that, like over a year ago, I made this prediction that we're going to start to see more and more gaming companies come up with their own platforms instead of relying on Steam or Origin. So, we've got Steam, Origin, Uplay, we've got Good Old Games. Now you're seeing Bethesda.net. You're seeing all of these companies. Blizzard has their own launcher. You're starting to see more and more of these in-house launchers, and every single time it's geared towards one thing, and that's making money. And Bethesda has, in the past, they've tried paid mods. It went horribly. But Pete Hines has said, this is an idea we're going to try again. We're not going to do it with Fallout, and it won't be for a while, but I really firmly believe that Elder Scrolls 6, we're going to see paid modding.
Yeah, well, I guess now they can completely cut out Steam's percentage that they got out of the equation. So
that's what I was going to say. That one of the biggest complaints was that modders only got 25%, Valve got 30%, Bethesda took 45%. So now it's going to be Bethesda takes 50%, modders take 50%, or something like that.
Wait, how much did Valve take?
30%.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, they were taking a ridiculously high percentage for what they were doing, which was just offering the service of transporting that data.
And see, my thing with mods is, what I appreciate is how the Nexus has handled it. Is, some modders don't want to charge for their shit, so they're absolutely free. But those that want to have some source of income, they have it. There's the ability to donate to it, and I like that. It's not saying, "Hey, I made this, so you owe me money." It's, "Hey, I made this. If you want to show your appreciation, why don't you throw me a couple bucks?" I think that's, when it comes to art, that is the better way to handle it, and that's what mods are. They're a form of art.
I don't know. I personally feel that
some are more like splatter paint.
I personally feel that you should be able to set a price if you want to. And if you really think that what you did is worth someone paying money for, then go ahead and set a price.
What? And I'm
doesn't mean
not
people have to
completely,
buy it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's just it. I'm not completely against paid mods either. I think where they really, really, really fucked up with Skyrim was that they decided to do it, a year into it or however long into it was. I think if they release whatever game
4
they're going to
years,
try
of course.
paid modding with it, if they're going to do Elder Scrolls 6 with paid modding, they need to do the paid modding at release. It needs to be there from the get-go, so it's not oh, hey, by the way, we're going to start charging you for mods now.
Another stupid thing was, a lot of people had complaints about is, if I buy your mod, I have no guarantee that you'll continue to develop it.
Exactly.
I have no guarantee that it won't bug out on the next game update. I have no guarantee that it will run with the other mod I bought. It's how can I put it? I don't know. It's like
Gamble.
Buyer beware.
Mm.
It's buyer beware.
It's like fun. It's fun. Yeah. But consider this. Most people have 100 or so mods. Let's just say 60 mods on Skyrim. Imagine if they paid $2 for every of those mods.
Oh my god, it'd be fucking broke.
$120.
I have here. I can actually pull this up right now. Oh no, I can't. Sorry. My computer doesn't want to work with me right now. Okay, so I was gonna say I could pull up my Skyrim, tell you how much I have in Skyrim right now, but it's, I think I have about 240 mods running in Skyrim.
Yeah.
So, $500 yeah,
and possibly more, because the least they'll charge is $1. The most they'll charge is probably around $5 to $10. So that's a lot of fucking money.
And the thing is, there are some mods I would happily have. Like, if you go back to New Vegas, I would have paid money for Project Nevada, or the Some Guy series, the Bounty Hunter series.
Yeah.
New Vegas Bounties. Oh my god, I paid money for those. They were brilliantly written. But then you have the fucking mods that are Thomas the Tank Engine replacers. Like, I'm not paying for this shit. Like, but I do kind of agree with Ahab that I think that if a modder wants the option, like, to charge for their mod and they think it's good enough, right? Like, that's fine. But like I said, they just have to make sure it's there from launch. It can't be a surprise halfway through a game's release.
Yeah, and in that kind of case, Bethesda would have to, I could see if a modder sets a price, Bethesda gets a cut of it, all right. But Bethesda also needs to offer support on those, which we see a little bit of with things like the fact that we have the creation kit and the fact that they're going to be putting them on consoles, but maybe they could step it up a little bit and, they could handle part of the making sure that everything jives together.
I think that what they can really do for that is first get a new engine, and then one that involve like the two of the most popular mods right now for Fallout are the settlement keywords and the armor and weapon keywords mods. And what they do is they streamline the hierarchy of the files behind the scenes. It makes all the mods use similar keywords so that, if I have one weapon mod, I want to install on another one, and they both use this keyword hierarchy, then they're going to jive. They're automatically going to work together. And it's kind of sad that modders had to redevelop Bethesda's engine's hierarchy just to make it work for mods. But that's the kind of stuff that Bethesda needs to look at in the future. Like, they need to take cues from this and say, oh, okay, we fucked up, we can fix this. I don't think they're going to, but...
Actually, just go back a few steps. What I see of Bethesda is not just monetizing on PC, but because it's the only way that console users will be able to access mods, it's possible that they can monetize nearly all the mods, majority of the mods, because there's no other way that console users will be able to get mods any other way. So, like, I'm a mod pirate, so when the whole paid mods thing came out, I went onto a mod piracy subreddit where I can get torrent links to download mods that became paid. I'm okay with that. I do not feel ashamed in any way, but I think it's kind of, I make jack shit at work, so I'm not going to save $50.
I'm not judging. I'm just chuckling.
Yeah. I'm not saving $50 for a $40 game just so I can pay for extra content, especially when it's unofficial. So yeah, something else I was going to say, but I forgot it. So
You need to sleep better next time before a podcast.
I'm on 3.5
Needs to drink more.
hours.
I think we can all agree on one thing about Bethesda and modders. And that is that Bethesda needs to hire some of these fuckers because they do a better job than they do. Can you guys just imagine how solid the story... Not that I dislike the Fallout 4 story, but can you imagine how much more solid it would be if some guy had written it? I mean, can you picture that? If the guy behind New Vegas Bounties had written that? Oh... I'd be
Well,
happy.
I would have liked them. I would have liked them to incorporate some type of bounty thing, like he did at least.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, just like his writing was perfect. He you're talking about some guy who is, and sorry, I mean that in the not in his name sense, but just some dude who is a modder who happened to really like the lore, really know the lore, and who decided to invest a lot of time and interest. And the fact of the matter is, he created something that was even more enveloping than the New Vegas story. Like, I seriously, I jump into the bounty storylines before I even bothered with the New Vegas quest because, I mean, not that New Vegas had a bad quest, but the bounties were just fucking brilliant. And his, I mean, I keep going about
his his writing is more mature than like Bethesda's and Emil's. It's more like darker, I guess. It's more like gritty. Like Bethesda doesn't like to, explore really sensitive topics or say, provocative stuff.
And they need to. They need to because seriously, that's the thing is that games. What sets Fallout aside from a game like, let's say, sorry, I hate to do this because it sounds like I'm picking on it, but Call of Duty is, aside from the fact that they're different game types, what really sets them aside is the fact that Fallout 4 is a story-driven game. Like, Call of Duty, don't fucking lie. You don't play it for the story. It's like someone telling you they read Playboy for the stories. No, they don't. If you're playing COD, it's to shoot people. If you're playing Fallout, you're doing it for the story or to explore. And I forget what my point was. I completely forget what my point was. But
well, let me point out COD 4 is a damn good story, and I'll be looking forward to playing that again this year.
And COD 4 is the one exception. But I mean, even if you, for a COD game, but if you take that story and compare it to other games, it pales. I mean, I could place it here and list for hours the number of games that have better stories than even Modern Warfare. But the problem is that Bethesda's Fallouts they're shying away from that mature apocalyptic feel, and they're going towards this
happy-go-lucky kind of thing.
Yes, that's the thing.
I wouldn't say it's happy-go-lucky. It's just not as gritty and realistic as it should be.
Parts of it were straight up. Boomer's right. Part of it was straight up happy-go-lucky. I mean, I don't know. It just did not feel like Fallout 3 when I played that game. Like, it was dark. There were some dark parts of that game, and Fallout 4 still has some of those moments. That was the
atmosphere too. Like everything's green and everything's destroyed.
I mean, compared to Fallout New Vegas, where you had things like Fisto and being able to kill fucking everyone, torture. I don't think there was rape or anything. Actually, I think there were characters.
No, there was with the fiends. The fiends,
who were raped. You have all these dark plots, and not everything works out. Some shit gets dark. I can't think of anything that really goes dark in Fallout 4. I mean, there's less player choice, there's less dark things that you can do, and there's less dark things that can happen to you.
Yep.
So,
and that detracts from it. Like, for me, there's still one New Vegas quest that, like, I still have a hard time playing it because it feels so real, and that, not real, but it hits me, and that's, It's for the NCR, and it's I forget how it starts, but you wind up with talking to Chief Hanlon at Camp David.
Oh, yep.
And if you have the quote unquote good ending, and keep in mind this is the good ending. He goes into his office and fucking kills himself. I mean, that's the good ending.
Yeah.
That's the best
And
way
it
to get the Ranger Sequoia, though.
it's the only way to get it without stealing it,
Yep.
or killing NCR Rangers, and like, I mean, that quest still stays with me. Like,
Yeah. Well,
you don't
well, I
have
think,
stuff like that in Fallout 4.
Yeah. Well, I think another really good example of what you're talking about here is The Witcher. Like The Witcher talks about domestic violence and the Bloody Baron quest. It talks it has you throwing a fucking baby into an oven. Do you think
Yep.
in Fallout there'd be a quest where you throw a baby into the oven? Like, of course not. They wouldn't
Not
dare go near
not in,
that.
not in Bethesda's Fallout. Not in Bethesda's
No.
Fallout.
No.
I think the closest you get to that was the pit. Like
Oh yeah. Well, the pit was the grittiest, darkest thing they've probably ever
I was just gonna say
made.
that the pit was probably the closest Bethesda came to a true
Yeah.
gray game. I think New Vegas definitely did the gray morality a lot better than Bethesda has done. And again, I know it sounds like I'm really coming down on Bethesda. I love Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, but I think
it's
this
the
whole
same. It's just
conversation
true.
got started. And
It's true.
one other thing I want to say, going back to your example of The Witcher, some people I've heard have said, the issue with Fallout 4 is it's too bright, like color-wise, it's too happy. And I generally point them to the Witcher series to prove that, you can have a game that's bright and that doesn't mean it's inherently a happy game. I mean, The Witcher is a dark adult game that focuses on a lot of hard to deal with issues. Just because the world itself is bright and fantastic doesn't mean that the game itself is not a darker game. So
I've run into a few situations in Fallout 4. I'd say there's less than what we found, but there's still a few spots there. And I've talked about it in the forums before, where you're running along and you randomly listening to distress signals, and you hear the distress call for a woman asking for help at Fallon's. And
yes,
the whole time
yes.
I was working my way over there, I was like, please be alive. Please be that I'm rescuing somebody from super mutants. I knew what I was going to find when I got in there. But it stuck with me.
Yeah.
And those are the moments we want more of, because they'll continue to stick with you, and they'll draw you more into the story. And I do feel that Bethesda's gone a little soft on that type of thing. We see it, but
they show a lot of that stuff in terminals, and they show it through like environmental storytelling, but they don't usually do it, through face-to-face dialogue, and they're doing it right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like some of the shit that happens in the vaults, you don't see it, but it was dark, but it's not the same effect.
Yeah. And I will say the one thing I think Fallout 4 did right along those lines is after Kellogg, after you interact with Kellogg, after that whole battle, when you go into his memories, and they show you that he is a human being, and you just killed a human being. He didn't have an easy life, and they force you to look at that. I have to say I appreciated that aspect of Fallout 4 because it made him not just the evil bad guy who went around killing your family.
Yeah, well, the quests with Kellogg were easily the best quests in the game, and he was easily the best villain or character in the game, probably.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm hoping that we have a connection with Kellogg and Nick, and I'm hoping that we see more of that in Far Harbor, because we already know that Nick Valentine's going to be one of the key players. So I really hope that we see some of that darkness in Far Harbor.
Hopefully. In Far Harbor, it looks like it's going to be dark. I mean, just the atmosphere, so hopefully the story is dark like that, too.
Alright, so we're going to have a quick intermission, because we're on time for intermission. Yep. So, blah, blah. What was I saying? So we'll be right back and enjoy the music.
Here's a story about Minnie the Moocher. She was a red hot hoochie coocher. She was the roughest, toughest rail, but Minnie had a heart as big as a hay whale. Howdy, howdy, ho.
Welcome back to the podcast. And now we're just going to hand over the podcast to Ahab, who's going to talk about his experience at PAX East.
Thank you very much, Boomer. So I don't know if you guys have ever had the opportunity to go to a very large convention.
No.
There are ups and downs to that type of event. I did love the fact that there was so many gamers in one place, so many people that had the same interests, and it was very easy to bump into people that had the same interests in oddball games that you do. But you are literally bumping into people from start to finish. The crowds were insanity. I've been to a number of different types of cons over the years, and this is probably the biggest event I've ever been to. I honestly don't know how many people were there, but it felt like there were 100,000 people in the room at any given time. The One of the best parts, though, was just how much stuff you could see. And you had these moments where where you break out of the crowd and you just look around, and there's developers there that are just as hungry to talk to you as you are to talk to them. People that want to get your opinion on their games. The Indie Mega Booth is probably the busiest, but also the best place in the whole building.
That's exciting.
It looks like to me there's going to be a lot of growth in indie gaming, and I attended a panel on VR headsets that was with it had Oculus was there, Alienware showed up, and then they brought some guys from Unreal, and the big thing they pushed were indie developers in VR. They made it really clear that VR is not really good hitting it off with the AAA games. They don't want to put the investment in it.
Yeah, they have a formula that works. Why mess with that formula?
Exactly. They're already happy. They know they can sell games, making them the way they are. But the indie developers, these guys that are really going it on their own, they're the ones that are going to build VR up into this new platform. And, someday those guys will be the AAA game builders.
I don't know if you ever had the chance to listen to, I think it was our first or second podcast. We really should get you on here sometime with Mitch, because Mitch is really big into the idea of indie too. In fact, in the first one, I think it was the first podcast, the first or second one, me and Mitch were talking about how the idea of indie is going away. Like, yes, there's still going to be independently developed games, but they're not going to be called indie anymore because they are becoming so huge. I mean, look at Minecraft, look at No Man's Sky, look at Witness. These are games that are coming out at, these aren't your $15 and $20 indie games anymore. These are blockbuster games that were made by a 20-person studio. So it's really exciting to hear that the cons are recognizing that, 'cause, I don't know, to me, I love indie games. My two favorite games so far this year have been indie games, so it's cool to see that development, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to get there and to see them. The benefit of the indie booth is that it's so expensive for these guys to buy a space, at a con like this.
Right.
And, the indie mega booth, sort of large groups of people are able to chip in. And you're right, though, and I did listen to the other podcasts, and I've talked with Mitch about it a few times as well. And the way that the indie games are going is that we are getting these full-fledged games. Most of what I saw there were mobile gaming, side-scroller type things, but there was still just these huge, massive potential games. The one thing I was disappointed about was there was No Man's Sky was not there.
I read that in your article, and my thought on reading that was, you know what? I'm okay on that, because it means that they're staying back and developing the game.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but I still would have liked to, somebody could have showed it.
Yeah, I mean,
It would
it's
have been
coming
cool
out
to
in
see
like a
Sean.
month.
Like, that would have been exciting.
Yeah.
Like, and no, I agree entirely. But
It is coming out in like
if
a
you think
month.
about it, they're a month and a
Yeah,
half
it
away
comes out
from
in a
launch.
month and a
So,
half,
actually, I think
I knew
it's
it's-
exactly 7 weeks from today, I believe.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I feel like I've been
didn't-
waiting
I
10
didn't
years
know
for that game.
sure.
Oh, tell me about it.
They've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, it's 4 years, 3 years? I think it's 3 years now. They announced.
Yeah, it's. I think that's going to be a great game. I would have liked to see it, but on the other hand, an event like PAX is so huge, especially PAX East, that it's hard for you to really put in a good showing, because nobody has there's no room to get into some of these booths and stuff like that. You know, even the guys, Bethesda. You know, Bethesda had probably the largest floor space there, and their line was like 2 hours long.
Oh,
Wow.
Jesus.
To get in and play a card game. You know, that's all they really had going. I mean, they had the merch booth there if you wanted to buy merchandise, but I mean,
Well, they had Doom
prices
too,
weren't any
right?
better than. Yeah, they had Doom there. They did, and there was a lot of people playing that. But we've been able to play that in beta.
I was just going to say, that's been old news
Yeah.
for a little bit now.
Yeah, and I think it was entertaining, and I didn't actually go. I just kind of walked through to look around. I didn't get in line to play at Bethesda because I'm not into the card style games anymore. It still was interesting to see how many people were there, and so much Vault 111. Everybody, the cosplayers were everywhere.
I
And
was
I'd
watching the
say-
pictures from that. I loved it.
I'd say that Bethesda cosplay was the number one cosplay
Wow.
that I saw. It was everywhere. You couldn't avoid people wearing Vault 111 T-shirts, or you absolutely knew who the gamers were. Yeah.
As a Fallout cosplayer, I love hearing that. So I'm okay with that.
I sat in line for an hour and a half to get into a panel on Master of Orion, and the two guys beside me just randomly were both wearing Vault Tech hats.
Love it. I love it.
So did you see?
It was cool.
Did you see Maddie there?
Go ahead. I saw him around the booth.
Oh, really?
I didn't have any interest in heading that direction. It was pretty packed.
Well,
Maddie seems like a good guy. He's a great news aggregator. You know, he gets
is.
a lot of that stuff together.
He's a great guy.
And I think that's been I think that he's been a big boon to a lot of what we do. And
Oh well. Yeah.
Sorry. Monty, can you stop having a hard on for him?
Well, I mean,
You kind of have a hard on for him right
okay,
now.
he's a horrible
Go away,
guy. He's
Monty.
an asshole. Complete dick.
No.
I was say he seems like a nice enough guy, but I wasn't gonna go try and get in. There were plenty of people there talking to him. You know, he was not unaccompanied from what I saw. It was the same with the guys from what's the pod?
Ham radio.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of why is my brain not working right?
Because
The
it's
youth Shoddycast.
Ugh.
Yeah,
okay.
you're right. It's the Shoddycast guys were there as well,
Ugh.
and you know I saw a couple of them walking around, and you know they everything was busy enough that they're and whether you like their work or not, there was no need to really, I thought, go fanboy on anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They're all nice enough people. Leave them to their thing and just enjoy the show.
Yeah, no comment.
Well,
There was-
I have to say that I appreciate that you were able to go because, basically what you were describing with the lines and the crowds, like, that's my personal definition of hell.
Oh yeah, me too.
I am very much an outgoing person, but I have a small degree of, is it agoraphobia when you have an issue with crowds? Like,
Technically open spaces, but
Oh,
I think
okay.
that use
So-
the same terminology.
okay, I was going to say open space I'm fine with, but people pressing in on me, like, I actually get panic attacks. It bothers me.
Yeah, you get claustrophobic. It was ridiculous there.
I have been to 2 cons in my life. One of them was a Christian youth gathering in Atlanta with like 40,000 people, and it sucked. Like, I hated it, not because of the environment, but just because of being surrounded by people. The other one I went to is I've done the Steampunk's World Fair. Steampunk
Wait,
World's Fair.
They're in Jersey?
In
The one
Jersey. Yep. Oh, dude, it's fun, and the nice thing is, it's tiny. It's the largest
Yeah.
steampunk gathering in the world, but it's only a couple hundred, maybe like 1,500 people. And it was so nice. You could move around. You could.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what I like in a con. I like small, niche cons, I guess. So
The best ones I went to were that way. Little Comic-Cons in like the middle of nowhere,
Yep.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati Comic-Con was fantastic.
Yeah, they do one out here, up in Lancaster, PA. That's pretty
Lankland.
pretty tolerable. But I mean, but what I was saying was I appreciate that you were able to go and I was able to experience it vicariously through you without all the crowds on. That being said,
Yeah,
if I
that
ever get
makes
the
it
chance,
easier.
if I ever get the chance to do an E3, I would love to go to E3 as a journalist, not as
man.
a gamer, but as someone who's there to experience it from a journalist perspective, as press.
As a journalist
I would
for
enjoy
SB.
doing that. It's,
In
yeah,
a
exactly.
couple years.
Exactly. Who else do I write for, Monty? All right, for me, myself, and
Kotaku.
SB. That's it. Oh, fuck Kotaku. I can say that, right?
Yeah,
So,
hopefully
when
me and
is,
Joe
when-
are going to go to
how-
PAX East next year. So maybe we'll see you there.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Oh, I'll definitely do Friday next year. I don't know if I'm gonna do the full weekend though because it's so ridiculous. And I literally work 2 blocks away from the convention center, so it's like I had free parking and everything. So it's like I couldn't not go. You know.
Well, tell you what. Here's what we need to do, Monty. Since I don't live far from you guys, I might as well just road trip it up with you two, and we'll go meet up with Ahab. We'll crash at his place now.
And Maddie
know about
showed
that.
us this really nice restaurant too, the seafood place. We're going there.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Sounds like a plan.
Which
So-
seafood place was it?
Oh shit, I don't
That
fucking
doesn't
remember. That really good
Doesn't matter.
scallops.
I don't know why I was thinking.
It is some good place called Uncle Joe's Crab Shack.
Oh, they're everywhere.
That was the joke, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, there's good stuff up here. There's a lot of good stuff. That's one of the nice things about this area is if you like seafood, New England is where it's at.
So I'm going to ask one real quick off-topic question. We don't need to go real far off it, but I'm honestly curious. Since you're a native of Boston, how closely does the game portray Boston? Like,
I was
is it
just going
pretty
to ask this
accurate? Based,
question.
I mean, I realize it's a parallel universe, but like, how similar is it?
So I'll put it this way. I had one of my neighbors came up when I first got it. When we first released, I took a couple days off.
Nice.
And I was walking through the Boston Common part of the game, where you go up
Yep,
against
Swan.
So I was walking in there. My neighbor came in, and I said, "Hey, come check this out." And he walked over and he looked down and he's like, "Is that the Common?" He immediately knew that it was the Common.
That's awesome. That's very exciting. That's one thing I will say that Bethesda has done well, because I live within an hour and a half of DC. I like to go there all the time, so
Yeah.
I'm familiar with DC. And with Fallout 3, it was really cool to compare the two because it was pretty fucking dead on. And
Yeah, I lived and worked in NVA for about 2 years, so it's pretty neat to see how accurate they get.
agreed.
Wait, sorry. About the DC thing, you do realize that it's like crack city there, so I'm a bit suspicious why you love to go there so often.
Because I stay on the nice side of town. I go to the zoo and the Smithsonian and Inner Harbor. Fuck off.
Sure.
I will say this about the Boston side. The one thing I was disappointed in is that there are some places missing that are old enough that they should be there timeline-wise. On the other hand, I understand it's a different world, different universe,
Right.
but I work in a building that was built in the early 1800s.
And it's not there.
It's not there.
Ah.
Yeah, and I know for a fact there's no way they could get into the building, but they could have at least had the exterior.
Right.
But what are you gonna do?
Well, and that's something I've always been curious about, is how much gets removed because of scaling. But
Yeah. Well, let's just say that when you're in South Boston, the police station is about the only thing that's right.
good to know, though.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right from what I've heard.
Yeah. I was so hoping they were going to do the Big Dig, like as in the actual tunnel, the Big Dig that I drive through every day, because it's a massive tunnel complex, and it would have made it just made me want to play Fallout 3 so much, I just wanted to get back into the tunnels and go through the subways.
The subway
And,
system.
It would have been great if they did that. On the other hand, that's a really new construction. It was built in the 90s. So
Okay, yeah.
I get why they didn't go with that, but still, it would have been absolutely amazing to see that tunnel. Just the structure. It runs under the entire main city of Boston.
Yeah.
It's just huge.
So,
Interesting.
That's all I really have about PAX, though. It's awesome. You should go to it. You will get stressed out by the crowd. It's going to happen. There are some nice, quiet places you can escape, though. There's hallways that run. It's 3 levels, so there are places you can get out. And there's some really cool, just like theater rooms and auditoriums where you can go relax a little bit and play like old school arcade games and stuff like that. So
And that should apply at all the PAX events, because here in Australia, I went to one, the 2014 one,
Yep.
and you have quiet areas. It's really crowded, but you have quiet areas. You have beanbag lounges and stuff, so you can definitely get away from the crowd.
yeah, I think they understand that the majority of the type of people that play those games probably don't like crowds. So
Yeah, because at the time I brought my girlfriend who has social anxiety and all that, so she wasn't enjoying the crowd as much as I was.
yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, and Monty, you can finally talk and stop aggressively tapping your keyboard. SB.2,
my,
2.0, not
Oh
0.2.
yeah, well today was a big day as we finally launched it for our premium paid members here. You know, it's been a long time coming. It originally was just, it was supposed to be a small thing, but turned into something that, was an overhaul of the entire site. We got tons of changes. It would take me a while to go over and explain all of them, but I'll just read off the thread I wrote here about some of the major ones. We completely, got a brand new theme that we paid for and, customized the hell out of it. We got a new banner. We got, new color schemes. We got the dark theme is the default one. And we got also the light theme, which is still being worked on here. We also, the goal was to streamline everything. We got less clutter at the top. We in the user menu, there's less options that no one ever used. We changed around like when you post like your picture and everything. Now it's a circle and there's a little green dot that shows if you're online, which is pretty cool. And another thing.
I love that feature.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. I didn't even know it was being added. Another big thing was the signatures, which was, a lot of people were saying, oh, well, the signature should be, small and they should be the same size. And other people were like, oh, well, I want to put 20 images in my signature. So Potato Joe came up with a great compromise, which is, you just hover over the signature to expand it. So that's a pretty cool feature in my opinion. Also, we made the.
I think it's
Go on.
I was just going to say, I think that's a great compromise because I'm definitely one of those people, I'm very vocal. I prefer the smaller signatures. I despise the big ones, but I still think that users that want to have the larger signatures, this is a good way to let everyone have their cake and eat it. I love it.
Yeah, and we want to
Yeah,
try
I
and
concur. It's a solid compromise.
yeah, and we want to try and please as many people as possible here. We also we made the featured articles thing smaller because that was kind of annoying some people, I guess.
Obnoxious. It
Yeah.
was like fucking huge.
Yeah.
Even as one of the major article writers, I appreciate having a smaller feature panel.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And we're also still, it's still very much a work in progress. We have a lot of add-on features that we have to buy, so we need money for. So we're gonna be adding those in, and yeah, thanks to DK and
And I
Potato.
think right there, I was gonna say, and I think right there's a good. I'm gonna interrupt here, and I'm gonna personally say, to anyone who has donated to the site to 2.0, and I want to especially call out Ahab and Adam, who have both donated for our 2.0 upgrade. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, I'm going to
personally.
bed.
Like, for those of us that have put work into the 2.0 end of it, we really appreciate seeing how much you guys love the site, and it's users like you that really make it worth doing what we do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ahab. That was very generous. And Dingo too donated a lot of money himself. And
I love the
I
site.
think we all kind of want to do what we can to help, and
Exactly.
I think it's good if you're in a position to do it. And I appreciate the transparency that we saw over the last week about the finances. We're all a big part of this, and having a little more understanding of the needs of the site makes it a little easier for us to make our decisions.
yeah,
And I agree. I'm always for transparency and everything. So I definitely appreciated that. But yeah, like Ahab said, I think it just comes back to we do what we do because we love it and we want to see the site succeed. And if we are in a position where we can support it, well, then if we really love the site, we should support it. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and even if you can't, just spreading the word, being a good
Well,
active person.
That's still supporting the site. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
necessarily mean monetarily. I mean, I don't expect everyone to, have 50 or $100 to shell out towards the site. That's no. But yeah, turn off ad block, share it with your friends, get your gamer buddies on it. That's honestly, in the long run, just as impactful, if not more impactful, than these donations. So it's huge either way. Like, if you can give money, cool. If you can give time, cool. If you can bring more people in, cool. It's just support in one way or another.
Yeah.
Even if you're just active on the chat, sitting there talking with other people, friendly, like, that's huge. That's important. So.
Yep. And this has been a long time coming here, so it's it's great.
We've been talking about 2.0 since clear back before Fallout 4 came out, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been teasing it forever. And
yeah, in some form or another.
Yeah, and it's not done yet. I'm still planning more ideas for like a 2.5 or 3.0 or whatever the fuck we call it.
Yep. Well, and I know that pretty much all the staff and a pretty good number of users have been coming up with ideas, and our just speaking of transparency, the way we kind of handle stuff like that, if someone comes to us with a suggestion, it's not oh god, a user came to us with a suggestion, not another one. It's okay, let's look at this idea. That sounds cool. Is it feasible? Can we do it? Oh, it sounds good. Let's take it to our development team, which right now is predominantly DK and Potato, and we take it to them and say, look, is this something we can do? And they'll say yes or no. If no, is there something else we can do similar? If yes, okay, how can we incorporate this? It's very much a positive. Like, we don't look to get rid of suggestions. We actually love having these suggestions from our users because we've got good ideas, but I mean, we're the staff is less than 20 people. It's great to have ideas from the users who are quite frankly the ones who should have these ideas. You guys are the ones using the site, so it's cool to see that, and then to see the process actually work.
Yeah.
So it's not just it's not just 5 or 6 staff members sitting in a staff chat going, oh, this sounds like a good idea, let's do it.
No, it's been shaped by
system.
It's been shaped by every user. Everyone's had some sort of
Exactly.
say in it, and I don't think we'll ever be done. Trying to improve the site. All the money that we make goes right back into it.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing. If we ever get to the point where we are done improving it, then we've lost our vision. Like, we should always be trying to do better, always.
Yep. Yeah, so
it may not always be these huge, Sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I was going to say, it may not always be these huge, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 updates, but, just the little stuff. We will always be working to improve this site. And we're always going to be there to listen to user suggestions. Like, we want your ideas. There's no such thing as a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry,
sure.
there are some bad ideas, but
yeah. Mainly your ideas.
Let's be a little careful with what we say.
yeah, that's why I retracted that. Boomer, edit that out. No.
I'm joking. but yeah. So when to wrap it up, basically, if you're a regular user, just keep your eye out. We'll probably have it rolled out completely in a couple weeks, maybe. And because we're going to want to take as many suggestions and get out all the bugs we can with the people that are beta testing it right now. And I'll just end my diatribe here with the last sentence of my thread. I said, "This is the Dynasty. Welcome to the best-looking gaming forum on the internet, with no close second in existence." Boom.
Fuck yeah.
Mic drop.
Fucking nailed it, man. I loved that line.
All out,
I
out.
loved it.
All out, out. Okay, yeah.
Right. Speaking of 2.0, we're going to try and increase the number of competitions, contests / raffles going on. I'm personally just going to buy a cheap game every week or so you guys can have a competition you can enter and get a free game. So I'm trying to aim for there to be consistently at least one contest with an aim of 2 contests on per week. So
Sounds good.
Very cool.
free games. You can't really bitch about free games.
Yeah, and the 2 games you have up right now are, correct me if I'm wrong, but Mass Effect 2 and Wasteland 2, correct?
Yep, Director's Cut for Wasteland
Both
2.
of which are fantastic games, and if this is to the user, if you've not played them, like, enter these competitions because these are fucking fantastic games. These are, like, easily A+ games. Like, I highly recommend them.
I mean, it's free,
Exactly.
and you have a pretty good chance of winning.
Exactly.
I mean, if you enter the Wasteland 2, you have there's only 26 entries, so you have a pretty good chance of winning.
That's fucking solid for a free game.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to end off today with a few user submitted questions.
Do we have some?
From Floius Deathclaw.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we do. If you go to the user submitted text channel, yep. So Floius Deathclaw asks, if you could choose to replace Todd Howard or Pete Hines, who would you choose?
Can I replace both?
See, I enjoy Todd Howard, but Pete Hines has been getting on my nerves the past year. So,
I'm with
he's
you,
out.
Boomer.
You know,
Yeah,
if
I'm with Boomer.
I'm going to be, here we go, Dingo's unpopular opinion. If I have to replace just one of them, I have issues with Pete Hines, but Pete Hines is not at least the prolific liar that Todd Howard is. I can take an insult to my face. If you want to insult me and call me a hacker, okay, I can roll with that. It pisses me off, but I can roll with that. You fucking lie to me and I'm done with you. So I'm going to replace Todd Howard.
Okay. I thought you were going to say, get a new game director, so there'd be a new vision for the game.
Get some
but,
actual fresh games.
yeah.
Oh,
I
shit.
don't know. I think Todd had the vision to take it where he did. He did reach out and get the IP. So, I don't think we'd have Fallout as we know it without Todd Howard. Because look at the direction that they were going before. It's not a matter of doing a good or bad job making the game. It's a matter of the game wouldn't have ever existed.
Well, at least not in the form that we have today, but who knows? Maybe we'd have had something. But no, I see your point.
Maybe,
I see your point.
But, yeah. So I'll get rid of Pete Hines. And who needs Pete Hines? We don't need that guy. He's just a loudmouth with a Twitter feed.
Accurate.
Okay, so next question. What are some of your gaming guilty pleasures? I can be very, very, in RPGs especially, obsessive and compulsive with keeping things exact and organised, especially in Skyrim, by making sure everything's neatly placed, especially bookshelves.
Yes.
Or in just other games. Like Mass Effect, I'm a completionist. I have to get every single quest, every single world explored. No exception.
Yep.
I
know that feeling.
I would say my guilty pleasure, for one, Pokemon. I mean, some people may not consider that a guilty pleasure, but, I am a 30-year-old dude. I do have, a job, and I have a wife, and I'm working on kids and shit. But Pokemon still is a guilty pleasure. I love that fucking game series, and I'm going to get all 720 of those little bastards if it kills me.
Gotta catch them all.
I gotta fucking catch them all. I don't care what level they are. I don't care if they're shiny or if they have the Pokevirus. I just want to get one of every one of the fuckers and be done with it. Pokemon is definitely one of my gaming guilty pleasures. I would say that, and I am notorious for not completing games. My ADHD, if you ever want physical proof of my ADHD, all you have to do is go and look at my Steam library and look at how many games I've actually completed. I own like 250 games or something, and I think I've completed less than 25% of them. And it doesn't bother me at all.
The fact that it doesn't bother you is what bothers me.
Hey, I paid...
You should see mine. I would show you how many games I have, but my hard drive didn't load on the last boot, so shit.
I feel like I saw a post somewhere saying like 400 something. So
Oh my god.
I think it's 423.
that's what you have.
And I bought a few more.
I'm
so,
not
yeah.
really big onto Steam. That's one of probably my guilty pleasure is I limit myself very fiercely to the games that I play, but I play them a ridiculous amount.
And see, that's what's funny is I'm the same way. I play a very small amount of games. I don't know why I buy all these fucking games. I buy a game, I play it for 2 hours, and I never touch it again. But
I've got 10 games on Steam.
oh my god, I have almost that many on Origin. I
No,
have more
not
than that
every.
on Origin.
Well, I was gonna say I also have Origin.
I have
so
more on Origin.
Yeah, so I was like, I actually have more than that on Origin.
I just I spend a lot of. Well, I guess what my big one is the Sid Meier games, the Civilization games. I've probably got combined 30 or 40,000 hours in.
Sounds like that sounds like the Bethesda
Ooh.
games to me.
Yeah, I've put too many hours over the years. I know just on the most recent one, the one that takes place in outer space, I've got 5,000 hours, and it's only been around for a year. So
Jesus.
I play a lot.
And that's a bad Civilization game.
Yeah.
Speaking of Origin, if you don't know, they give free games every couple of weeks out, and this week's free game is Medal of Honor: Pacific Assault, which is a fucking
Wait, really?
great game. Yep.
I gotta go jump on Origin
Get
then.
it.
Yeah, I might have to hop
Get
up on
it.
there and check that out.
All you have to do is have the Origin client, go into the store, click on free games or wherever it is, and claim it. It'll give you a receipt saying you spent $0, blah blah blah, and now you have this game in your library. Then you permanently have it forever. It's a fucking great game. It's one of the best games of the last decade, in my opinion. So definitely buy it. It is an older game, but it's worth it.
Yep, I just grabbed it. That easy. It was that easy.
Yep. And last question for today. What do you believe is the saddest moment in gaming? And that's from Na Alma.
Oh.
For me, now this is, no one's going to agree with me on this one, but when Gaz was shot at the end of Call of Duty 4, when
Really?
he pushed his head against the barrel of the gun and got killed. Yeah, well, I was 10 years old at the time, so, and I was very connected with the character, so it was like, shit, I love this guy, now he's gone. I was 10 years old, get over it.
No, it makes sense, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
actually trying to think of mine, but that, I mean,
I think-
that makes sense. So
Yeah, it's really tough. I can't think of one off the top of my head that really emotionally affected me like that. I mean, there's lots of little moments like we've talked about, but
I think for me, probably Mass Effect 1. There's the notorious Ashley versus Caden scenario.
yeah, the
and the
decision.
And the thing is, when you make the decision, you're in the middle of action and it doesn't hit you. But then there's this scene afterwards, like on the ship, where I forget exactly how the conversation goes, but basically, it's just everyone kind of reassuring each other. And it hit me. It's like, oh God, that person's dead. And then what makes it even better is in 2 and 3, they just keep building on this memory of a person. And it's like, I made that decision, and that hit me. Like, I think Mass Effect probably has a couple of the most, in my opinion, the saddest moments. Mass Effect 3 with Mordin, that was definitely one.
Yeah, I would have to say that I'm probably in a pretty similar boat there. It was when I realized in 2 that decision really was coming all the way across.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then when you get into 3 and they have those memory moments, those points where you're talking about the past. And for me, I always saved Ashley. So it was always talking about the history of Caden, and just that, you start thinking about it and you feel that loss, even though it's just a game.
Yep.
That was really good linear storyline writing. Like they knew exactly how they were going to make you feel. And that
it's
was
a
the
BioWare
benefit to
game.
it.
Like that's what BioWare does. That's what they're brilliant for. So, do you guys mind if I ask my own questions? Just kind of building off that.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
Not just sad. What do you guys think would probably be the most emotional? I don't necessarily mean sad, but most emotional moment in a game for you guys. It doesn't have to be sad.
That's a hard one.
Like
For
what
me,
just
it's
sticks
the
with
raw
you?
excitement of having waited for certain games. But I can, since we're, specifically we've been talking about Fallout, that moment as I sat in front of my computer at, midnight, waiting, and when I could click that button, and that scene opened. I have felt that feeling with only some other games. I used to play the Guild Wars, the original Guild Wars games.
Guild Wars 1, yep.
Yep, and the betas would go live one weekend every couple of months. And
Okay.
my best friend and my group of my guild mates, we would sit there, and it was 3 in the morning because they went on Pacific time, and we would wait and wait, and we keep clicking. You keep clicking for that server to go live, and that moment when something that you've been anticipating so much opens in front of you, that's an emotional moment. That's
That's-
like the hair stands up on your arm kind of moment when you hear
That-
that music.
That's cool because that actually, I've been thinking I'm pretty infamous on the site for knocking Fallout 4 pretty hard when it first came out. Like I gave it
Yes.
out of all of our writers, I gave it one of the lowest ratings. I still love the game, and the more I think about it, I think it had a lot to do with how I got the game because I did not feel that excitement starting the game that I usually do. Like I was you guys who've been here know, like I wrote 101 fucking articles, little mini articles every day building up to it. Like I was hyped, and I think I wasn't able to get the game at midnight because I was waiting for the my Pip-Boy edition to come in. So I didn't get it at midnight, and then I think that I had to work the next day. Like just all of these things that
Yep.
I think life happened, and I didn't really get to fully enjoy the game as much as I wanted to, and it kind of, I don't know, kind of made me resentful, kind of bitter towards the game, like it was the game's fault that I didn't enjoy it for some reason. Like I've actually been noticing, I've been doing a really hardcore, really in-depth kind of vanilla playthrough again, and I've been noticing a lot more, like enjoying it a lot more, like taking my time a lot more, and I love it.
Survival mode's doing that for me. Survival mode's brought the whole game back again.
And see, I thought survival mode would for me, but I actually rage quit survival mode about 3 different times. I haven't touched it again yet. I'm gonna go back to it.
I've died a lot.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go back to it, but just playing a vanilla game again. But instead of playing it for the hype, playing it just for the fun of it, I'm loving it a lot more. But to actually answer my own question, I think like probably the 2 most emotional moments in games for me, like in actual games, Fallout 3 opening that vault. When you come out of the vault in Fallout 3, that still, because to me, that was my introduction to the whole series. That was my first Fallout game, was Fallout 3.
That was mine too.
I
I went
I've-
back to the others, but that
Ditto.
was my first Fallout.
Yep, same. And I don't regret it at all. I think it's a great way. I think, honestly, the best way to play the series is you play 3, then 1 and 2, then New Vegas and 4. That it worked really well for me. But that was one, and then there's a DLC for Mass Effect called The Citadel, and it is a DLC that is just all about fan service, and I don't mean in the like lewd or suggestive way. I mean it's all about just focusing on the characters that throughout all 3 series that you have come to know and love, and just there's one scene in it where you kind of get trapped, and your entire squad, and not just from Mass Effect 3, but from 2 and 1, everyone from all 3 games is standing there covering your back. And it's a gorgeous moment. I loved it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was probably one of the more interesting and just more fun to sit through and play through DLCs.
Yeah, that DLC, it's one that it's not serious. It doesn't take itself seriously. It is a DLC that is purely for fun and nostalgia. Like it is not. It does not try and take itself seriously, and I love it for that.
That's good stuff.
What about you, Boomer? You've been quiet.
That'd be Oblivion. So I was eating chocolate. Oblivion, when you either when you first get out of the tutorial dungeon and you see the alien ruins and the hills and trees, or the Dark Brotherhood when you get your first contract and you kill the pirate. That was an especially fun mission. I've never had so much joy ever in the game. That was my first RPG. That's what got me into RPG games, because I had no appeal before that. So yeah, definitely, that was the most emotional gaming moment for me.
Yeah, Oblivion's that. Yeah, I could see that. Let me give you a very short story about Oblivion. My experience with Oblivion started when I lost a job, and I wasn't sleeping very well, so I bought Oblivion, and I sat and played it on my Xbox for like 120 hours straight. I hadn't slept in days. I was so tired. I was seeing things, but I was so stressed out.
I've been there
I was
before.
using the game, I was using the game to hide from work,
You were
And
self-medicating.
I reached the end, and I knew it was essentially the end, and I felt like this kind of moment of relief, and I saved my game, and I shut it off, and I told myself I'm going to sleep, and then tomorrow I'm going to come back, and I'm going to finish this, feeling fresh. So I shut it down, I went to sleep. I got woken up by a phone call from some girl that I was seeing on again, off again, saying she needed a ride. I went to pick her up, she wasn't there, I came back. My TV and Xbox had been stolen.
Oh,
Oh no!
So I never got to finish that one game.
Oh, dude.
And I ended up, about a year later, I bought Oblivion on PC. And that's when I sort of got into like playing with mods and stuff like that. But it was
I feel like
'cause
there's some moral here.
It was terrible, man.
Oh.
It was terrible.
And see, Boomer and I have had this discussion before. The funny thing is, I see Oblivion as the least good, and notice I'm not saying the worst because I still love it, but the least good of the Elder Scrolls series. Like I love, I like Skyrim. Morrowind will probably always be not just my favorite Elder Scrolls game, but if not the favorite, but one of my absolute favorite games of all time. So
Yeah.
I've already told.
Morrowind had really good story, really good writing. There was a lot of work that was put into that.
And the
when
world,
it
oh
came
my
out.
god, that it was so unique. I've already said, like if Bethesda ever wants my soul, the only thing they need to do, I will rescind every bad comment I've ever made about Pete Hines, Todd Howard, and the studio as a whole. If they will re-release Morrowind using
Remastered.
remastered it in the Skyrim engine, I will. Hell, I'll switch teams for them if they want me to. Like that game is just. I don't know. That was Morrowind was not just my introduction to the Elder Scrolls or to Bethesda, but honestly to like hardcore gaming as a whole. Like before that, everything I did was casual. It was Nintendo 64 or Game Boy or oh god, I'm gonna flashback here, but the Magnavox Odyssey 2, like the old school shit that I played on. But Morrowind was the first game that I played for the story. I didn't just play to play. I played because I wanted to play the story.
Because it drew you in.
Yep.
It sucked you in.
Yep, I became obsessed with lore. Like, oh my god, I spent
I'm
hours
a lore guy.
on the Elder Scrolls wiki, like just hours. But
I know that feeling very well.
wait. Did you say Elder Scrolls
not
Wiki?
the Elder Scrolls wiki.
Thank Christ.
help me out here.
Yes,
UESP.
Unofficial Elder Scrolls
UESP,
page.
thank you.
The old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mouthful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The
Not-
Elder
not-
Scrolls Wiki's
It's a blatant
something a little
ripoff.
different. Yeah.
But no, UESP is yes.
That's where I used to get my World of Warcraft lore a lot of the time too.
Nice. And what's the other one? The Imperial Library was a good one too, because they
Yep.
have all the books.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to call it a night.
No, that's okay.
Well, actually, we're wrapping up now, so that works out. All right, so this has been the Sugarbombed podcast. Today we've had our forum guest user, Ahab.
Thank you guys very much. I enjoyed being on. It's been an interesting conversation. Hopefully, we'll do it again sometime.
Oh, I'd love to have you back.
We've had Dingo as usual. And we've had Monty, who always leaves early, so he can never say goodbye. And we've had myself. So we hope you enjoyed the podcast. And we're sorry about last week's missing podcast. I'll explain that later. Anyway, thank you for listening. And this has been Boomer, signing out.